Welcome to G Fun Facts Online. Think about the last time you saw a teenager. Chances are, they were looking at a phone. In that glowing rectangle, they're living a huge part of their lives. A world of likes, shares, and endless scrolling. But what is this constant digital immersion actually doing to their brains? We're not talking about habits or hobbies. We're talking about the physical, structural wiring of the adolescent mind. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the psychology and neurology of the teenage brain on social media. This isn't just about screen time. It's about how a generation is being shaped, one dopamine hit at a time. The teenage brain is not just a smaller version of an adult brain. It's a dynamic, chaotic, and brilliant work in progress. The defining characteristic of this period is neuroplasticity. Imagine the brain is like wet clay, constantly being molded and reshaped by experiences. This incredible malleability allows for rapid learning and adaptation, but it also means the brain is highly vulnerable to powerful external forces, and there are few forces more powerful in a teen's life today than social media. To really understand what's happening, we need to look at two key parts of the brain that are on very different development schedules. First, you have the limbic system. Think of this as the brain's headquarters for emotion and reward. It includes structures like the amygdala, the emotional processing center, and the ventral striatum, a core part of our reward circuitry. In adolescence, this system is fired up and fully mature. It's why teens feel things so intensely. The thrill of a new crush, the sting of rejection, the joy of fitting in. They are exquisitely tuned to seek rewards, especially social rewards. Now, contrast that with the prefrontal cortex. This is the brain's CEO, the part right behind your forehead, responsible for all the boring adult stuff: impulse control, long-term planning, emotional regulation, and weighing consequences. Here's the catch. The prefrontal cortex develops much more slowly. It doesn't finish its construction until the mid-20s. So you have this developmental gap, a high-powered reward-seeking engine, the limbic system, with a trainee driver at the wheel, the prefrontal cortex. It's this exact neurological landscape that makes social media so intoxicatingly effective. Every like, every comment, every notification that pings on a teenager's phone is not just a digital event, it's a neurological one. These little alerts act as social rewards, triggering the brain's limbic system to release a small burst of a neurotransmitter called dopamine. Dopamine is often called the pleasure chemical, but that's a bit of an oversimplification. It's more accurately the motivation chemical. It's what tells your brain, hey, that was good, do that again. This creates a powerful reward loop. The teen posts a photo, gets a like, feels a tiny rush of dopamine, and the brain learns that checking social media leads to a reward. But here's where it gets even more compelling. Social media platforms are designed, intentionally or not, like slot machines. The rewards are unpredictable. You don't know when the next like will come, or if it will come at all. This is called a variable reward schedule, and it's the most effective way to lock in a behavior. The uncertainty is what keeps you pulling the lever, or in this case, refreshing the feed. Your brain gets conditioned to seek out these digital rewards compulsively. Some researchers have found this process can foster a dependency that looks surprisingly similar to substance addiction on a brain scan. A long-term study published in JAMA Pediatrics gave us a startling look at this in action. Researchers followed a group of adolescents and found that those who habitually checked their social media, were talking 15 or more times a day, showed significant changes over time in how their brains responded to the world. They became hypersensitive to social feedback, both rewards and punishments. Their brains were essentially being rewired to place a higher value on peer feedback, which in turn promotes even more compulsive social media use. It's a feedback loop that gets stronger with every scroll. Now, it's easy to paint social media as the ultimate villain. But that's not the whole story. For many teenagers, these platforms are a vital lifeline, a digital town square where they navigate the complexities of growing up. Let's look at the positive side first, because it's real and it's important. For many, social media enhances social support. It allows them to stay connected with friends and, crucially, to find their tribe. This is especially true for marginalized youth, like those from racial, ethnic, or LGBTQ+ communities. They might find acceptance, understanding, and support online that is simply not available in their immediate offline environment. Social media can also be a stage for identity exploration. Adolescence is all about figuring out who you are, and these platforms allow teens to experiment. They can try on different personas, showcase their creativity, and get feedback that helps them build a more coherent sense of self. It can also be a gateway to valuable information. Many young people use social media to learn about everything, from global events to health and wellness. Some even report that social media was what encouraged them to finally seek help for mental health struggles. But this sword has a notoriously sharp second edge. One of the biggest psychological downsides is social comparison. We are all hardwired to determine our own social and personal worth by seeing how we stack up against others. Social media puts this tendency on steroids. Instead of comparing yourself to a few friends, you're now comparing yourself to a constant, endless stream of everyone else's carefully curated highlight reels. You see the perfect vacations, the flawless selfies, the amazing achievements, not the messy, boring, or difficult parts of life. This can lead to a cascade of negative feelings, envy, inadequacy, and a plummeting sense of self-esteem. Studies have repeatedly shown a strong link between frequent social comparison on social media and symptoms of depression, particularly among adolescent girls. Then there's the fear of missing out, or FOMO. This is that pervasive nagging anxiety that other people are having amazing, rewarding experiences that you're not a part of. Social media is a FOMO-generating machine. It provides a real-time window into all the parties, concerts, and hangouts you weren't invited to. This can trigger intense feelings of loneliness and stress, and it creates a compulsion to stay constantly connected, just in case you miss something. Research has linked high levels of FOMO to increased anxiety, depression, and even significant sleep problems. And of course, there's the dark side of online interaction, cyberbullying. The distance and perceived anonymity of the internet can strip away empathy and inhibition, creating a breeding ground for cruelty. Cyberbullying is a pervasive problem, and its effects can be devastating, leading to deep feelings of isolation, anxiety, and depression in its victims. So, we've talked about the psychological impact, but is social media literally changing the physical structure of the brain? The research is still emerging, but the initial findings are compelling. That JEMMA pediatric study I mentioned earlier didn't just find that teens became more sensitive to social feedback. It found this was linked to changes in the trajectory of development in brain regions like the amygdala, the emotional hub, and the prefrontal cortex, the center for judgment. The brains of the most frequent checkers were developing differently. Some other research points to a potential link between heavy social media use and changes in the brain's white matter. White matter is like the brain's internal highway system, made of nerve fibers that allow different brain regions to communicate quickly and efficiently. Alterations in its integrity could impact how well the brain functions as a whole. Furthermore, the very nature of social media, with its constant multitasking, notifications, and rapid-fire information, may be affecting core cognitive functions. Some researchers theorize that heavy users become less able to filter out distractions, leading to a shorter attention span and poorer performance on tasks that require deep focus. It's critical to add a note of caution here. This is a very new field of study. Not all research has found a significant long-term impact on brain structure, and it's incredibly difficult to separate cause from effect. Does social media use cause brain changes? Or do teens with certain brain structures simply use social media more? The science is still evolving, but the associations are strong enough to warrant our close attention. Given this complex picture, The goal isn't to smash our smartphones and go live in the woods. It's about learning to navigate the digital world in a healthier, more mindful way. And there are concrete, evidence-based strategies to do this. For teenagers, it's about taking back control. First, curate a positive feed. Actively unfollow or mute accounts that make you feel bad about yourself. Fill your feed with things that are inspiring, educational, or genuinely fun. Second, set boundaries. Create tech-free zones and times are crucial. No phones during meals, during homework, or for at least an hour before bed. The blue light messes with your sleep, and your brain needs time to disconnect. Turn off all non-essential notifications to reduce that constant compulsive pull. Third, practice mindful scrolling. Pay attention to how you feel. If you notice you're feeling anxious, envious, or just numb, that's a signal. Put the phone down and take a break. Fourth, prioritize offline connections. Make a real effort to spend quality time with friends and family, face-to-face. Real-world interactions are where you build deep social skills and emotional intelligence. And finally, always remember the highlight reel. Remind yourself that you're seeing a curated, edited version of reality, not the full picture. For parents and educators, the role is one of guidance and support. The most important thing is open communication. Have ongoing, non-judgmental conversations about online life. Talk about the good and the bad. Help them develop the critical thinking skills to evaluate the content they see. You also have to model healthy habits. If you're telling your teen to put their phone away at dinner, while you scroll through your own feed, the message is lost. Kids emulate what they see. Create a family media plan together. Collaboratively set rules around screen time limits and tech-free zones. When teens are part of the process, they're more likely to buy in. And finally, encourage other activities. Hobbies like sports, art, music, or volunteering are fantastic for building real-world self-esteem and a sense of accomplishment that isn't dependent on likes. The adolescent brain, in its remarkable and vulnerable state of transformation, is being shaped in ways previous generations could never have imagined. Social media is a powerful force, an engine of connection that can also isolate, a tool that can build us up or tear us down. Understanding its deep psychological and neurological impact is the first step toward empowering young people to become masters of this new terrain. The conversation isn't really about demonizing technology. It's about cultivating a generation of digitally savvy citizens who are in control of their own well-being, both online and off. This is about the future of human connection in the digital age. Thanks for tuning in to G Fun Facts Online.